This is the Hollywood Outsider. Welcome to our 2011 year-end wrap-up. Are you sick of hearing critics and award ceremonies always talking about movies about heroin-addicted AIDS victims who overcome their adversity to solve the world's crisis? Those aren't movies you want to watch. We're going to talk about movies you want to watch. So stop sitting around hating yourself and let's talk about some movies that you actually had fun with. That's what we're here for, the 2011 year-end wrap-up. Here we go. This is the Hollywood Outsider, and like you just heard, this is the 2011 year-end wrap-up episode. We're going to talk about the things in 2011 that we liked with films, and as well as a couple things we didn't care much for. But the majority are what we liked. We're doing our own award show this year. Call it the Ho Awards, if you want. We're not basing it on anything on how dramatic it is or how artistic it is, but how much it resonated with us. Call it the popular Ho Awards, I guess.
That's going to take Hollywood by storm.
It is. It's going to take over. And by the way, my name is Aaron Peterson. I will be your host. With me today are my co-host, Justin McCumber.
What up, Aaron? What up?
That's his new entrance theme song that we could barely hear. Brian Williams.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm still getting over that entrance from Justin. And Scott Clark.
You have to envision the fireworks going off behind me as I come in. It helps.
And base jumping from a helicopter, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. Mm-hmm. Wow. And by the way, you guys have heard the opening that we did. It was a sample, so technically I can use that. Please no one call the Paramount people. You can't sue me. If it's under 30 seconds, I can use it. So, boom.
Just for satirical purposes.
That's right. So,
is that really the case? If it's under 30 seconds?
It's under 30 seconds or under, it's a sample.
Really?
Anything more than that, and you're stealing.
Really?
Yeah. That's a fact. But I'm promoting their film, really, when they think about it.
Yeah.
Their film being Mission Impossible Goes to Protocol.
They should be paying you, is what you're saying.
I would take the check.
Yeah.
I would. So, Justin, what was that classy theme song that you were shaking about to?
Kanye West power, bitch. No one man should have all that power. I've been playing way too much Saints Row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, well, like I said, we're going to do kind of the What's Popular awards. We don't really get into the artistic, like the artistic side like the Oscars do, where we find every heroin addict and everything else to give an award to. We're going to give awards to people we liked. We're going to put a little production into this episode to jazz it up, so don't panic. It's just a special occasion. We'll still be the same old Hollywood Outsider from here on out. But if you like it, let us know. Maybe we'll keep it. Who knows?
Aaron's going to put a little effort into it.
Yep, that's right. I'm going to put a little in my Oh, yes, I did. And as you listen, we will have some of our past guests from episodes past give their top 3 films of 2011 as a thank you to all of them. I want to tell them that now. Thank you. Well, we're going to have them interspersed throughout the episode. So you don't know when they're going to pop up, but they'll pop up. So keep a lookout. So with that, let's get on with the Ho Awards. You like that?
I do. I can't wait to see the statues for that. It's Future Ho.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. And first we're going to do the awards, and then we're going to get into a couple other things, and then we're going to do our favorite films of 2011, which I know everybody is dying to hear.
I know I am.
I know I am, because I don't know what anybody's is, except mine. So
I hope you know what yours are.
I'm still debating on number 4.
Are you?
Damn it. Okay, Ho Awards. Here we go. 2011, that year that has passed, because I want to clarify, we had a altercation earlier. People didn't know if I was being clear in terms of what the year is, but it's actually 2012. We're reviewing 2011 films.
Favorite performance with balls.
Favorite performance with balls. That's a male performance, by the way.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brian. What is your choice? Best performance with balls.
All right. Well, kind of stepped out of the box a little bit with this one, and I went with Andy Serkis for his performance as Caesar and probably every other ape in that movie in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He's just he's a master at creating just these believable characters that are animated over, and I don't think the guy gets enough credit for what he does. And I know that you don't really see his expressions because they're kind of, like I say, they're animated over. They're putting the CGI over him. but he does the voices, he does the movements, all the stunt work and stuff for it. And to me, he was kind of hit the mark with the apes and stuff, and really made him look a lot more believable than just putting somebody in a monkey suit. So
fair enough.
Mine's probably less popular too. I chose James McAvoy as Professor X in X-Men First Class. I think it might be more of a tribute to the casting of that, because I thought he was just perfectly cast. Just a likable character, very believable. I just loved his performance, and just want to be buds with that guy in that movie.
You want to be buds with him?
I do. He's a cool guy.
You like him more than Michael Fassbender?
For different reasons.
Who played Magneto?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was more badass. There's no doubt. He was more steely. I thought James McAvoy was more fleshed out, in my opinion.
Okay. Justin?
I went with Michael Parks as Aben Cooper in Red State. I think that the guy's performance as a religious zealot, willing to do anything and everything that it took to serve his God the way he saw it, was just chilling to the bone. And I enjoyed Red State a lot, but his performance was probably the reason people should see that movie. And I'm really hoping that when the other awards come around and give out their awards, that he'll at least get nominated for Best Actor, because he was phenomenal.
I agree with him. That's a great performance. My personal choice, Brian, this is going to be your favorite. You're going to love this. Is Ryan? God. It's Ryan Gosling in Drive. Oh, it was so good.
Oh, I knew it.
He was so good. Ryan Gosling wearing that fucking jacket and just walking around like he owns that shit. That's the movie. That's the guy. I love that guy in that movie. So Ryan Gosling in Drive, that was my choice for best performance.
I hate you already.
Why do you hate me? Because I like something awesome?
Anybody that wears that jacket is not awesome. I don't care.
Anybody that wears that jacket and pulls it off, that's awesome. That's
Anybody that pulls off that jacket is awesome.
Fair enough. Let's go into our next category, and that is
favorite performance without balls.
Favorite performance without balls. Best female. Scott.
This should come no surprise. Rooney Mara in Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. Absolutely stellar performance. Couldn't take my eyes off her the whole movie. Not in a dirty way.
But, sure. Even though she's naked through half the movie.
Well, besides the point. But just seriously spectacular performance. If she doesn't at least get nominated for an Oscar, I'm gonna raise hell.
Are you really gonna raise hell?
Well,
I want to be there when you start
as much
raising
as
hell.
I can.
I'm Scott Clark, damn it. Justin, what's your pick?
I went in a different direction with this. Since I didn't see Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, obviously I can't speak to it. But one of the genre's hardest to do is comedy. And it feels like when Hollywood does do a good comedy, 99% of the time they're putting guys in the lead role. So this year it was really nice to see a film focusing not just on one woman, but on a whole crew of women. But Kristen Wiig is Annie Walker in Bridesmaids. She was hysterical. I loved almost every scene she was in. She also co-wrote the movie. I thought she did an amazing job, and it's really nice to see a woman in a group of women given a comedy, and to have that comedy do as well as it did at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent choice.
It is.
It is an excellent choice. And actually, It was between her and my pick, which was Rooney Mara, whatever the fuck, from Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, which really saddens me that I have to agree with Scott. But
that's twice in 1 week.
I'm telling you, that was my favorite performance by a female all year. Kristen Wiig was my second favorite by far, but I'm sorry, Rooney just blew me over with her interpretation of that.
I think you said it best on
I usually do.
Facebook. She was a revelation. I was not expecting it to be that good of a performance, and it was amazing. Yeah. That's not what I thought I was going to like about the movie.
Is the naked girl running around?
Like, I was intrigued by the story and the darkness of it.
Yeah.
But, she was just captivating.
Brian?
Well, speaking of naked girls, my pick was one that I hated to make, but when I was objective about it, I had to be honest with myself, and that was Kirsten Dunst for Melancholia.
Really? I'm shocked by that. Shocked by that.
Not near as shocked as I am, trust me. Because I, for the most part, did not like the movie, and I will explain more of that later. But she was very convincing as this depressed newlywed who struggles to maintain and kind of try to save her relationship with her equally nutty sister. The whole time there's another planet that's just, screaming towards Earth. But anyway, she was just really, like I said, she was just really convincing. It was really kind of a powerful performance. And as much as I, for the most part, didn't like the movie, that movie stuck with me for a very long time. So I have to give credit where credit's due and give Kirsten Dunst her props.
Give it to Snaggletooth. That's cool.
Yeah, give it to Snaggletooth is right.
And by the way, I don't think Scott or I ever said, but Rooney Mara's character's name was Elizabeth Salamander. So, in case we didn't say that.
Solander, wasn't it? Did you say salamander?
Solander.
You did say salamander.
Whatever.
You did.
She's slippery like a lizard.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that for us there, Aaron.
All right. Let's move on.
And you just snorted on your own podcast?
I did. I'm going to keep doing it. All right. Let's go to...
Favorite performance by someone who could not get their name above the title.
Favorite performance by someone who couldn't get their name above the title. This is a supporting role, and it can be either male or female. I get first pick on this one, and I'm going with, because I believe it was a supporting performance, Andy Serkis from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So I guess Brian and I agree, which I would prefer not to have that happen. But I just see it more of a supporting role. I think he did a phenomenal job, makeup or not, and I think he should be recognized for that. I doubt the Academy will do it because they're not known for doing anything smart. So, Justin, what's your choice?
I went back to the well I just came from. Melissa McCarthy, who played the woman Megan in Bridesmaids. Like I said, the film is full of funny women. But aside from Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy just blew everyone off the screen, just owning every scene she was in.
Scott's laughing just thinking about it.
She was the larger woman. I first fell in love with this woman when she used to have a role in Gilmore Girls, which, yes, I've seen every episode of every season. Love the show. But she was fantastic in that. But in this one, she got to really kind of dig in and get kind of gritty and a little filthy and really funny. I think she almost stole the entire movie.
Can you feel that steam heat coming from my undercarriage?
Oh my God, there's so many good lines in that movie.
Yeah.
I looked at that dolphin right in the eye. He spoke to me.
I can't tell you how many times I toyed with cutting that steam heat undercarriage into the opening to the show this week, just to have a clip.
As a little bit of a stump the hoe, did you know that the man who played the federal marshal
is her husband?
The air marshal? That's her husband.
Yeah, that's her husband.
Get out, really?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's cool. And I think they were married before the show. I don't think he married her.
Well, that makes that last scene a little less awkward then.
Yeah. She's eating the sandwich off him?
Yeah.
It's like actual home footage.
It's just real home footage.
But she did a great job, so that's why she was my pick.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Great. Brian?
I went nerd on this one, and I'm going with Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull from Captain America.
Nice choice. Choice.
Basically, he looked just like the comic book character and played it to a T, kind of what I envision him as. So I thought he rocked as the villain. I wish they kind of probably done a little bit more with him, but that's not on him. That's really more with the script writers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But very convincing. Loved it. Thought he just looked awesome. So Hugo Weaving.
His accent was fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, that Austrian accent was, to my ears, it sounded completely authentic.
Excellent. Scott?
All right. Mine is Jonah Hill, believe it or not, as Peter Brand in Moneyball, which was a good movie, but the reason I picked him as best supporting role is because Jonah Hill wasn't Jonah Hill in this movie. He completely came out of his normal role, and I found him much more believable than the shtick he usually does.
He was still fat, though.
He was still fat at that point, yes. But then he moved on to the sitter, and I don't know. I didn't see that. So, but he was really good. He really played the part really well. He was very meek, and you just seemed like an analyst or a strategist kind of character instead of the goofy, off the wall, teen angst humor, whatever that he usually does. So I really liked it.
He was very good in a dramatic role.
He was.
Really?
It was cool. I like seeing comedic people that usually do comedic roles in a serious fashion. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool. Okay, our next category is
Favorite badass motherfucker.
favorite badass motherfucker. It's and that can be either an action hero or a villain. Just basically, who was the biggest badass this year? Justin, go first.
Yeah, my choice could either be an action hero or a villain, depending on at what point in the movie you're watching him. But there was no fucking bigger badass for me last year, than Dwayne Johnson as Federal Agent Luke Hobbs in Fast Five.
Good choice.
God damn, I mean, he was huge and hitting people through fucking brick walls and shooting shit and driving that tank down these little roads and owning every scene he was in. I got a man crush on the dude, gotta say. The dude is tough and buff.
He was fucking
And I can't wait to
huge.
see what they do with him in the next one.
He was huge in that movie.
Yeah,
Brett?
I would really be surprised if any of the four of us picked anybody except him. Anybody but him, because I picked him also.
I did, but go ahead.
I did as well.
Go ahead, Brian.
Ryan,
Okay
back
there.
me up.
Sorry.
And also hit your mic really hard.
Yeah, you just cannot take your eyes off of him anytime that he's on the screen in that movie. That was probably the most badassiest role he's done in a very long time.
Yeah.
So The Rock to me was hands down just completely the most badass motherfucker of 2011.
And I agree. That scene with him and Vin Diesel duking it out is like a badass's wet dream right there on the screen. That was just so cool.
That
to
was a
see.
kick-ass fight, man.
Seriously,
And
that
Vin's
was
a big
so
guy,
awesome.
but up next to Dwayne Johnson,
Yeah.
he just don't look so big no more.
Didn't he make like every scene where because Vin's a big fucker, but then every time The Rock came up next to him, it's like, maybe Vin needs to work out more.
Dude, hit the creatine a little harder. Come on.
You need to get up a little earlier. All right, Scott.
That was my pick as well.
It was?
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I agree with him.
So your badass motherfucker is also
Yes, it was.
Mr. Rock.
Come on, Aaron, make it a sweep.
Come on,
It's
you gotta
not.
make it a
No, I'm
sweep.
sorry. He was my second choice. My first pick for badass motherfucker was Colin Farrell in Fright Night.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
No, you're wrong.
I loved him. I thought he's a fucking badass. He played that vampire like a shark from Jaws. I loved it. I loved the way he came in the room and he did it. He didn't necessarily have to do it with violence and just in your face shit like The Rock does. He got in there and there's several scenes where he was very terrifying just standing there. Didn't really do much. Just kind of gave him a look and made a couple comments and put tons of innuendo in it. I just thought he was perfect. So,
Scott, is Aaron rubbing his nipples right
A
now?
little bit.
he
Just,
A
is
little bit. Okay,
both
I thought-
hands.
tweaking.
well, it is cold down here too.
It is a little bit. Okay.
Aw, fuck that shit.
Next category is favorite fuck that shit scene. And that's basically best stunt work. We don't think that gets recognized enough in Hollywood, and definitely doesn't get recognized at all by the Academy Awards. So we're going to recognize that shit. So this is our favorite scene, stunt work scene. Brian?
Yeah, my choice was basically one of my man crushes, and that's Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. He does all of his own stunt work, and to be jumping around the outside of that, one of the tallest buildings in the world, and was just absolutely phenomenal. And there was a couple of times where, I had to hold, it was just, I was so, I guess, enamored by it that I was actually like holding my breath, just waiting, just, don't fall or make that jump, whatever. So don't fall, Tom! Don't fall, please!
You'll never make Jerry Maguire 2.
So, but I was, a few years ago when he did, I think it was the third one where the opening scene is him climbing all over the cliffs and stuff. I watched the behind the scenes
Second
thing,
one.
and all of that was him actually climbing and jumping and
That's the second
stuff. So
It wasn't him when he did it in slow motion. I'm just saying. That was John Woo.
It actually was
can I
John
take-
Woo?
No, I'm saying it was his way he cut it. Everything was in slow. By the way, I just a real quick side note. I just watched Mission Impossible 2 again, the John Woo one, and they actually do a scene where the bad guy grabs the chick's scarf in slow motion and try to make it very dramatic. I mean, that's how the entire movie. It's like little things like that are so dramatic. There's a
that
scene.
movie. I like it.
The scene, I like it, but the scene where the chick meets the bad guy and like is walking to him, it takes 45 fucking minutes for her to get there, and I couldn't stop laughing the whole time. But okay. So your pick was was the entire scene, the skyscraper scene from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol?
That's correct.
Sweet. Mine is going back to Fast 5, the safe dragging down the highway scene.
I toyed with that
I
one.
thought that was fucking genius. I never in a million years when I saw it the first time did I think they're going to try and drag the safes down down the highway. There they did. Holy shit.
And use it as a weapon. It wasn't just...
And use it as a weapon. And,
it was awesome.
And granted, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous and over the top, but it was fucking funny.
It
and
was
cool
fun.
and cool as hell. So,
Best, yeah, it's actually my favorite car chase scene of all time.
yeah, and it was right up there with the Ghost Protocol scene too, Brian. So we're on the same page on that. Justin?
Well, you just took mine, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick switch out. I'm going to say the entire second half of Transformers.
The entire second half?
Especially the scene, and when I was rewatching it recently, the scene where all of those guys jump out of those Ospreys and are fucking flying squirrel in their way around those buildings in Chicago with those suits and just soaring in formation, diving between Transformers. It was the entire second half of that movie was non-stop exhilaration. So since you took my Vault Getaway, I will say the whole second half of Transformers.
See, Justin has gotten very very sly on us. We're not allowed to do honorable mentions, so he's like, well, if you take mine, I'll fucking get it in that way.
That's it. He goes first every time now.
Yeah. All right, Scott, what's yours?
I toyed between the two that you chose in Mission Impossible 1 Out. Tom Cruise is, the fact that he does his own stunts, for a high profile actor to do that is pretty impressive. And it was just, I rewatched that movie recently in IMAX. And that just is mind blowing. You really get that sense of vertigo that first time he looks over that ledge and you see how high up he is.
In IMAX, that scene is incredible.
Yeah, that was really good. So, and that's a movie. The second time I saw it, I had only seen it a week before, and when stuff happens, I'm still like gripping my seat and like Brian said, holding my breath. Yeah. Like those still felt like moments, like very much. It was one of the coolest scenes I've seen in a long time.
And yeah, that's great choices all. It's funny how it's mostly the same scenes we're picking. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Did you see that? I didn't see that. What the fuck just happened?
Well, now we're on to best I didn't even notice that category. That's basically the best use of CGI special effects. But we're not going to be like the Oscars and have like 16 categories to do one fucking thing. Because I don't know all the little people that make it. So basically, best use of CGI special effects. Scott.
Aaron's going to hate my choice.
Why would I hate you?
No, you're going to hate my choice.
Oh. For lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Depends
on your choices.
I know Justin didn't pick it because I figured everybody already picked, but I loved, as terrible as you think the movie is, I loved watching Sucker Punch.
Okay.
Oh, I love Sucker Punch.
I loved it. I thought it looked I thought the CGI was really cool in that movie.
I think the CGI looks fantastic in it, so I get that.
Yeah, it was, and that's just that's a guilty pleasure movie, definitely, but it looked really freaking cool. I like that.
2-hour music video, and it's so cool.
Justin, what's your choice?
You called this I didn't even notice that, and I can't go with that because my choice was one that every time I saw it, I was just agape at how seamless they did it. But it's the shrinking down of Chris Evans to play Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
He looks emaciated, tiny, and even after watching the supplemental material and seeing how they did it, I'm still amazed when I watch it that it looks so fucking perfect.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good call.
It's voodoo magic how they do
voodoo
that.
Magic.
He looks like Gollum for almost half that movie, and then all of a sudden he springs out big and buff, and it's a shock.
Dude, if Steve Rogers would have threw out a My Precious, that would be the best movie of all time.
I'm telling you, but shrinking him down was just incredible.
Okay, Brian, what's yours?
Yeah, that was definitely a good choice. Mine was the 3D animation in Hugo. From they had the slow falling snow that looks like it's about, landing in your popcorn. The super deep perspectives of the clock towers. They had scenes where it looks like a train was basically going to, run you over. It was absolutely the best use of 3D ever, hands down.
I've heard a lot of people say about that movie that changed their mind about 3D. Like
absolutely, this movie is what you expect with 3D. So the story, even without 3D, the movie itself is wonderful. It's a great story,
Sweet. Well, my choice was Captain America: Little Steve Rogers.
Ah,
Hey,
look at you
Nice.
biting off
that's
me.
right. I would high five you if you were here. Bam.
You didn't want to throw in your
I'll
honorable
hit my
mention
mic.
since you.
No, I'm not going to do that because I committed. I'm sticking to my choice. Plus, I don't
See,
have
if
a
you'd have gone
backup.
first, and I would have said the entire second half of Transformers.
Okay, my pick is the second. No, it's Little Steve Rogers. I think, just like Justin said, it's amazing to me. We just watched that again the other night, and it's amazing to me how I was even looking at it this time because I knew it was going to be my choice, and I kind of wanted to watch it again and see if you know what, maybe if I watch it again, maybe I'll pick up on little things. I couldn't find a flaw in it, and I was looking like. So if you're just watching the movie, it's amazing to me how well it comes across. Like you would think that maybe that was Chris Evans' little brother
Yeah.
or something. So
His sad, sickly little
Yes.
brother that needs
Sad
an
leopard
AIDS
little
cocktail
brother.
or something.
okay,
Best film find of 2011.
the second to final category of the Ho Awards, best film find of 2011. Basically, a little or unknown film you didn't know anything about that caught you by surprise when you finally saw it. Mine is going to be Attack the Block. That's a little British movie about a bunch of kids they're like little gang thugs. They get caught up in an alien invasion, and it gets very realistic. Basically, what they do is they rob a woman. They rob her at knife point, and then whatever happens, there's a alien that they get into altercation with, end up killing the alien, and then suddenly a whole swarm of aliens come to the block and start attacking. And then the woman ends up back with the gang, and of course everybody's learning lessons left and right. But it's not a ridiculous like, oh no, we're all best friends. It's not like that at all. I mean, they play it like real street thugs. I mean, they don't understand why people don't understand what they're doing is right. They show the cops like coming down on them a lot, and also what they're doing is pretty shady. Nick Frost pops in just for like a little cameo. So it's a great little flick that I think most people haven't seen. It's fun, scary. It reminds me a lot of Dog Soldiers and how that came out of left field, where the special effects aren't fantastic, but they're good enough to really bide you through. And it's the story that carries that movie. So
Wasn't that the Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead guy that directed that?
No, Edgar Wright produced it, I think, but he didn't
really?
direct it.
Oh, okay.
No. But it's called Attack the Block. That's my choice. Attack the Block. Did I say black? No, don't attack blacks.
No, you, Brian.
Yes. Wow. Attack the Block.
Racist redneck joke every week, don't we?
Attack
I'm
the
sorry. I
Block.
should have taken that low-hanging fruit. I apologize.
Scott, what was yours?
Mine was a comedy that I just picked up on Redbox one day just because Ed Helms was in it, and I thought he was funny in The Hangover, so I picked it up. It's called Cedar Rapids. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but not a super fantastic movie by any means, but it's definitely worth a rental. There were some seriously laugh-out-loud moments in that movie. Ed Helms is a salesman that's basically sent on this job, and he has to stay in a hotel, and he runs into John C. Reilly, who's uber alcoholic and he's just ridiculous. Think Step Brothers, and this isn't a great story or anything like that, but the characters are really likable and they really all work together, and it was surprisingly funny. I didn't think I was going to find it as funny as I did. So there's a couple one-liners in that are just so damn funny. And Hesh is in it. Sigourney Weaver's in it. Red from that 70s show, I can't think of his name. Kurtwood Smith, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's in it. There's some pretty well-known actors, and it was genuinely really funny in a lot of parts. So
Cool. And that's
Cool.
Cedar Rapids?
Cedar Rapids.
Okay. Brian?
Mine, and this kind of gets back to one of my earlier discussion about Kirsten Dunst, but was Melancholia. At first, and even the review I gave it a few weeks back or a couple months ago, whatever, was pretty negative, and it hasn't changed much. But I have to acknowledge the fact that it's stunningly beautiful. Some of the visuals were just, like I said, just absolutely stunning. They were just wonderful. And she, Kirsten Dunst does give a good performance, but it's it's just really kind of odd to see how people react when you've got something as impending as another planet that's hurtling towards your planet, and what you would do. I mean, it's kind of hard to say what any of us would do, but
I know what I'd
kind
do.
of have some ideas.
I know who I'd do.
Wow.
You know, and so it's a little bit weird seeing two sisters fight out their issues. When you've got this much larger issue hurtling towards you. So it's just a movie that there's as much as I cannot say good about this movie, it did stick with me. And I thought about it. I actually even went back and I watched the majority of it over again, and it's one of those that I may not necessarily like per se, but I do acknowledge the fact that it is a well done movie and there are some good things about it, and I can acknowledge that. But
Okay.
I need to see that.
so
Take that. Justin.
I was originally going to go with Drive Angry because it was a movie that I went into with such low expectations and came out fucking jazzed over. But when I looked back over the name for this, it was the littler unknown film, and I really can't say that Drive Angry was a littler unknown film. So I went ahead and picked for this category Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Good choice.
Never heard of it, and then within like a few days of hearing it, suddenly my brother sends me a DVD with a ripped copy. Watched it, loved it, ended up buying it, starring Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk as a couple of country rednecks that get mistakenly believed to be serial killers in the mountains. Hilarity ensues, tons of blood and gore and violence, also tons of laughs. I couldn't have had a better time with it, and I really wish that more people would watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I just watched it. It's actually on Netflix Instant now.
I gotta get Netflix.
Oh man, it's fucking hilarious. I finally got to see it. I loved it. Loved it.
Good.
Loved it.
very good movie. I like that movie a lot too.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
What the fuck was that?
I have no idea.
Worst movie I saw all goddamn year.
Last category, worst film of 2011. What was the movie that made you go, what the fuck did I just see? And that's what we're going to talk about now. So with the first honors of the worst film of 2011, Justin, what is your worst movie?
Oh, fucking Ghost House. Fuck you. No, that Dream House.
Dream House. Yeah.
I hate that
pick
movie
the right
so much,
movie.
I don't even want to remember the goddamn title. Hate that movie. Hate it.
Why'd you hate it?
Fucking terrible movie.
Why'd you hate it?
Full of people I like. It was predictable. It was plotting. It was boring. You saw almost everything coming. The trailers practically ruined the whole thing. It was just so goddamn. I could not wait to leave the theater. Couldn't wait.
Good reasons.
Fucking hated it.
Scotty?
Green Lantern.
Really?
Yeah.
You consider that the worst movie of 2011?
I have never.
Let
I don't
him,
remember. I don't.
let him speak his piece.
I didn't watch a movie this year where I got halfway through it and I'm like, I don't care anymore. I just don't care.
Wow.
I really did not like that
What
movie.
didn't you like about it?
The fact that I didn't care. I didn't care about the story. I mean, like most superhero movies do the character development where you're like this character, and I didn't like. Is it Hal Jordan? Is that his name? Mm-hmm. I didn't like him in this movie. I don't know. And then when the superpowers didn't seem fun to me, I just wasn't into it.
But he can make a giant green fist.
Yeah,
For
good for him.
Yeah.
So can the Hulk.
anybody want to respond?
I know Justin does.
Can't blame
I
you for not
personally-
liking it, but I liked
I mean,
it.
I personally liked it, and there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change his mind. So, if he wants to be an idiot, that's his problem.
Yeah, it's one of those I didn't.
Well, you guys,
I didn't love it either. I just kind of thought it was okay.
You got to remember too, guys. I watch not as many films. I don't go like twice a week like Aaron does.
I'm sorry, I have a hobby.
No, it's good. I spend most of my time with a controller in my hand, so
Is that what you call it?
yes. Would you like to hold
That's my little
controller?
controller.
Your joystick?
No, but I mean, so like a lot of the fun of this podcast is I get to skip over the bad ones, which I was gonna see Dream House and I didn't because of hearing Justin talk about it. So I avoid the stinkers and this is probably the least favorable movie of the ones that I saw.
Okay.
Jumped on that grenade for you.
Well, my worst film of 2011 was a little Rutger Hauer flick called Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, it was bad?
It was horrible.
Oh, I just saw the trailer last night. I thought it was hilarious.
Stupid. I thought it was going to be like a clever, kind of almost Robert Rodriguez-like flick, like a little take on 70s cinema with Rutger Hauer as a homeless guy running around shooting bitches. And it was just fucking stupid.
Oh, that sucks.
And I was hoping that it didn't get a theatrical release, so I could just not even bother, because that's how much I didn't like it. But it did, so it counts. So my worst movie, and it is available on Netflix Instant, so I encourage you to go watch it and tear your eyes out, because it's just god awful. It sounded like
I was thinking that was something. I was thinking like something Bubba Hotep or something along those lines with it.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for something, kitschy or quirky or something like that, and it just wasn't clever at all. Everything about it was predictable.
Oh, that's
just horribly predictable and lame. Not cool, lame.
Rutger Hauer should have been the first clue, but
I like Rutger Hauer, man. His role, and granted it was like 25 years ago, but his role in The Hitcher is one of my favorite performances of all time. Villains, anyway. So
yeah, that one in, Lady Hawk?
Yeah, see, he used to be a good actor. Unfortunately, it's been a quarter of a century since that happened, apparently. And it hasn't changed. Let me tell you, I'm glad he got his check and he can pay his child support or whatever. But he did it. He did it with shame. Brian, what's your worst movie of 2011?
Oh, you're gonna love this one, and I think I think it's pretty much obvious at this point. That's going to be Drive.
Go fuck yourself.
Okay, I will.
Oh wait, really?
Pause it. I'll be right back.
What? That's seriously your worst movie you saw this year?
One of the most overhyped movies of the year. One of the most wrongly hyped movies of the year. The graphic violence in it was enough to keep me wishing that the movie would get better, but it didn't. The minimal dialogue, the lack of emotional attachment to any of the characters, the slow pace and not slow burn of the movie made me wish that movies would reimburse you for a bad product, and that's what that was. This is one of your typical movie critic / snob movies, and I went one thing with a movie that I really like or that I really do not like, I will go back and read up on it, read other reviews, read other stuff about it, just to try to get a different perspective, and maybe they bring up something that I didn't pick up on and can go, oh, all right, not one thing changed my mind at all about this movie. So
even when I talked about it,
especially when you talked about it.
Okay.
So
he still got my favorite performance by a guy. So bam.
Wow, that is kind of odd.
Yeah, dude, he was awesome. I thought he was awesome. Brian hated him. I thought he was great.
No, I'm just saying, like, somebody's worst movie has somebody else's best actor.
Right. He probably did this on purpose. You looked at my list, really you quick. Son of a bitch.
Not at all. I was pretty vocal about that a couple months ago when it came out.
He was.
Nothing has changed since then. So
fair enough. Well, that is our 2011, our first annual Ho Awards, I guess. I hope we get a second annual. That'd be pretty cool. Then it could be what do they call it? An annual thing. And next year we'll get a trophy with a prostitute on it.
Or we could have an actual hoe here on the show.
You're already here. I don't really think we need to look for one.
All right, now. We got best performance with balls. Not last night.
What the hell kind of a voice is that?
I don't know, some Atlanta hooker.
That was the chick from Police Academy, I think.
Right.
Oh, wow. I'm trying
to sound like one of my customers that came into the branch today.
I gotta compose myself. Okay, real quick.
Right,
I'm not gonna dwell on it because, as I've stated before, this is something that only I care about from this podcast. But the top movies at the box office, just kind of give you I'm only gonna give you a top 5. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, $381 million, but it was like 1.3, almost 1.4 billion worldwide. Wow, I can't believe it made that much. Transformers Dark of the Moon, $352 million. If you're wondering why they're making a Transformers 4, that's why. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1, $275 million, and it's still playing. I don't understand that.
That's a lot of soaked theater seats, man.
That's
oh, Jesus.
I'm so sorry.
I'm never going to go to the theater again the same way.
I never want to go.
The usher's like, shit.
I'm going to ask the guy at the door, was Twilight ever played in this theater?
At the bathroom first. If I want to, pull out a couple of those toilet seat covers before you go into the
Oh
theater.
God. Okay, The Hangover Part 2 or Part 1.5 is really what they should call it. 254 million, which I'm really surprised that sequel did that much because it's the same movie. And number 5, Pirates of the Caribbean Own Stranger Tides, 241 million, but surprisingly did over $1 billion worldwide. So
they love Johnny Depp overseas.
They love Johnny Depp overseas, and I just rewatched that again. I think it's a fun movie. So. You
said you were only going to do the top 5, but what was number 6?
Number 6 was Fast 5.
Fuck yeah, baby.
$209 million. And a little side note, also, ironically, even though it's the 5th chapter, the most successful of the Fast and Furious franchise.
It's what The Rock does.
Well, it was the best of all of them, let's be honest.
Yeah. I like the last one quite a bit, too. Okay, well, that is our whole awards. Don't worry, there's still more of the show. Right now, we're going to do...
Stump the Hoe.
Justin McCumber, it's his turn. Every week we do a little quiz show where one of our podcasters asks the other podcasters a trivia question and tries to stump us. So hoes being Hollywood Outsider, not actual prostitutes. This week it's Justin's turn. Go.
All right. Knowing that Mission Impossible was going to come up in this episode, I thought I would try and find a nice little Mission Impossible question. As you know, a lot of movies like to make references to other movies, TV shows, and I always enjoy it when I can spot them. And in Mission Impossible, there were several, but there was one in particular that I got and I laughed at, and I think I was the only person in the theater to laugh at it. And it was during Josh Holloway talking about his little portion of the movie, and in it he referenced one of his fellow characters by their code name of Outrigger. Outrigger was also a code name used in another television show. What television show was it? A, The X-Files, B, 24, C, Alias, D, Burn Notice.
Ooh. Scott, you go first.
Say the answers again one more time.
A, The X-Files, B, 24, C, Alias, and D, Burn Notice.
I really have no idea. I'm going to guess Alias.
Okay. Brian?
I'll go with Burn Notice just because an outrigger is a boat and Burn Notice kind of takes place in a boaty environment.
Miami. Very good.
I am going to pick Alias because I think it's Alias. All right. So if I remember, it was in the show. So we'll be back in just one sec with the answer.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider guest top 3.
And I am here with Dustin Baker. Dustin was a guest on episode 10 a while back. Dustin, number 10. Number 10. How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. I had a great New Year's party, and I hope that 2012 will be just as good. Unfortunately, it'll probably be cut off by a week or two because, the world's going to end. But whatever.
I'm convinced the Mayans actually just got lazy. They just got tired of doing
I think they were finishing it up, and then they're like, oh, geez, the Conquistadors are coming. We got to run.
As everybody knows by now, we are basically revisiting guest hosts that have blessed us with their presence and letting them
blessed,
my son. So I want you. Here's your shit. What are your top 3 movies of 2011?
Well, before I cut that down, I actually wanted to have an honorable mention because it was really tough to pick the top 3 because there was another one that I know that should be mentioned. An honorable mention was Source Code.
Okay.
It came out earlier this year, and it starred Jake Gyllenhaal, and absolutely a really good movie. I don't think a lot of people paid attention to it, but it was one of those movies that I enjoyed, and I showed it to my dad and mom. They don't really enjoy movies, and they saw it, and they absolutely loved the movie. It was really good. So
they don't enjoy movies?
Well, no, they don't do a lot of movies. They don't watch a lot of movies, but every now and then when they see a movie, they usually don't like it, but they saw Source Code and they thought it was a really good movie. So when that happens, I know it's good on my list.
Gotcha.
So Source Code.
Gotcha.
So as I was watching, this one I was surprised to show up on my list, but Bridesmaids. That originally I didn't even want to watch the movie because I was like, girly movie, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Denise ended up watching the movie and with some friends, and then she came back saying how amazing that movie was. So she dragged me into the theater, and I left the theater with a huge, grin on my face. I thought it was a great movie, and I've heard that they're going to come out with a Bridesmaids 2, and I just don't know if they're going to catch that magic again. But Bridesmaids, number 3.
Gotcha.
Number 2, I would say Super 8. Super 8's probably one of my ones. It hit 3 of the genres that I love, which is mystery, sci-fi, and thriller. And J.J. Abrams did a great job in marketing it, showing that he really got everybody's curiosity up, but did not sedate them or satiate them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word?
I don't know, but it sounds dirty. I like it.
But everybody needed to see what Super 8 really was about, and I think they did a great job. So Super 8, great movie, and
Okay.
it kind of had that magic of the Goonies, Monster Squad, kind of that.
The old throwback to the old Spielberg of the 80s.
Throwback to the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
those
Goonies.
late 80s movies. I loved them. I loved it. Number 1, which I don't think it'll be a big surprise, but Hugo. Hugo is probably my favorite movie of this year. I don't say it was the best movie of all times,
Mm-hmm.
but 2011, I think Hugo hit number 1 on my list.
Well, we're not hitting forever. We're only doing 1 year, so.
So Hugo, I think was a great movie. Scorsese did an amazing job with camera work, with music. It had a nice classic feel to it. The colors used in it, and just the way the story flowed, the way it was told, and the way it was able to capture the imagination of everybody sitting in the theater. And unfortunately, I did not see it in 3D, which, I kind of wish I did, because there was a lot of stuff that you saw that really jumped out at you.
Yeah, Brian loved it. Brian loved that movie.
Well, there was a couple things in there too that I enjoyed. They did a couple of long shots, like one continuous shot of an action that happened for longer than 2 minutes. And I appreciate those, because if someone screws up, they have to do the whole thing over. So Hugo was absolutely a great story, and I don't know if I can see anything wrong with this movie at all. So this is one of those that I'll probably end up buying the DVD. I want to make sure that it has the director's commentary on it, because I just want to dissect this movie left and right.
Wow. So what's your recap? What's your top 3?
Top 3, Bridesmaids, number 3, Super 8, which is number 2, and Hugo is number 1.
Wow. All right, well, that's Dustin Baker. Thanks again for coming on, Dustin. We appreciate you coming back to the show.
I appreciate it.
And if you want to hear more of Dustin Baker's sensual, just sexy baritone voice, it's on episode 10 of The Hollywood Outsider. Let's get back to the show. Okay, we're back. Justin, can you repeat the Stump the Hoe question?
In Mission Impossible, there is a reference made of a character named Outrigger. That's their code name. And that Outrigger was also used as a code name for a character in a television show. Those television shows that you could choose from were A, X-Files, B, 24, C, Alias, and D, Burn Notice. Brian, you chose Burn Notice for the Miami boating reference.
Yep.
Aaron and Scott both picked Alias. I knew when I picked these choices that unfortunately I was going to make it far too easy. I wish we could just go with no multiple choice, but Aaron and Scott, yes, you are correct. This was a J.J. Abrams reference. In Alias, the character Sidney Bristow occasionally went by the codename Outrigger.
Yeah, I knew that one. That's actually one I knew off the top of my head.
Nice.
And he produced this
question.
movie, so
I didn't even need a multiple choice on that one. I'm like, oh, Alias.
yeah. As soon as they said Outrigger, I was like, oh, Outrigger! I know that.
I'm a huge Alias fan. Love that show.
I love Easter eggs like that and stuff that like.
Yeah.
Time now for the Hollywood Outsider Top 5 Films of 2011 with Aaron, Justin, Brian, and Scott. Take it away, boys.
Well, now we're going to go into our top 5 films of 2011. And how we're going to do this is kind of a round robin style. We're going to count down 5 to 1. And we're going to basically 5. Everybody gives their 5. Go to 4. Everybody gives their 4.
We get it.
3,
We
2,
get it.
1. And you'll build up the excitement in your bowels. That's what we're going to do.
I got something moving in my bowels right now.
I don't know if that's excitement or dinner.
Okay. Now, let's start. Number 5. Scott Clark, what is your number 5 film of 2011?
Paranormal Activity 3. I had so much fun in this
nice.
movie. And that's kind of what I gauge my movies on, how much fun I had when I saw them in the theater or at home. And I just had so much fun, especially the last 15 minutes of that film. Just scared the crap out of me. It was fun.
And absolutely, and I should paraphrase before we get too far into this, but our top movies are not going to be like you find in most award shows. I mean,
Yeah.
we're basically picking the movies that we like the most. We had the most fun with. We'll rewatch or revisit, whatever. It's not just going to be like, oh, that was so pretty, and it's so well. He looks so sad. It's not going to be those kind of movies. So
Paranormal Activity is one of those movies that you kind of like to rewatch with people that haven't seen it before. Just because I love to see their reactions. We're actually, me and Sean, friend of the show, we're gonna do he hasn't seen any of them. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get them when the third one comes out. We're gonna watch all 3 of them back to back. And,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So you'll have to. I'm sure you're invited too. So
sweet. Okay,
Cool.
Brian, what is your number 5?
Mine was the Harry Potter finale. I thought it was a really good wrap up to the series. Good job of addressing all the numerous small subplots going on. Relatively feel good ending. I mean, after all of that darkness and everything over the last few movies, it's kind of good to kind of have a little bit of sunshine, so to speak. So, the last Harry Potter.
Okay. My number 5 was Scream 4. I'm a huge Scream fan. Love the franchise. Love the characters. Love that they brought it back and it didn't really miss a beat. And they kind of updated it for a new generation too. I just loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. I liked how they ended it. It was very, very current, very now. Big fan of it. Love Scream 4. I love Neve Campbell. It's my crush for I don't know how many years. So
I toyed about a character in that movie being my badass motherfucker a little bit.
Who's that?
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, okay. Never mind.
So, but yeah, I think you know
Oh,
what I'm
wow,
talking
way
about.
to tease us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Justin, what's your number 5?
Yeah, my number 5, and like you said, these are choices for favorite, most fun films, not best artsy film. But my number 5, Real Steel.
Ooh.
Enjoy the shit out of it. I couldn't
Good
wait to
call.
get the soundtrack for it. I cannot wait for it to come out on DVD. I want to see it again. It was just fun from beginning to end. Hugh Jackman did a fantastic job. I wish I knew the name of the little kid off the top of my head because he damn near stole the movie.
He was great. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
great.
Love that movie. Just so much fun.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider Guest Top 3.
And we are here with Amanda Sink. Amanda was a guest on episode 11 of The Hollywood Outsider. How you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Super. Come back to do a little peek into what her top 3 were. And she, for a long period of time, worked at a theater, right?
I sure
So you got
did.
to see like all kinds of them for free.
For free. Yep.
What were your favorite three movies of 2011?
My top 3, starting with the third one, is Scream 4. Scream has been my favorite horror movie genre, so it automatically got in there.
Because of the unanswered questions from 1 through 3?
Yeah. It was, I don't know, it was just pretty interesting, and I like how they pulled it together, and for a fourth film, they didn't make it too boring, and they still made it interesting and fun to watch, and kind of kept you on edge a little bit. And then my second one is Girl with Dragon Tattoo, the American version, obviously. I had saw the original, and I thought it was phenomenal. The main actress in that was really, really good, but the main actress in the American one, she was my favorite.
You like this one better?
Yeah, I like her way better. They're so badass. Like, that's what I like about it. I don't know. I guess
Because
I like
they're evil and sick and twisted.
Yeah, but she's so cool about it.
She's so cool when she's castrating people.
Yeah, that's exactly it. How they did it was very good. They didn't twist it too much or change it or anything, and they still made it good. Their accents are cool.
Okay, their accents are cool.
Yeah.
All right.
My number 1, hands down, is Friends with Benefits. It was hysterical. It was romantic, but it's not like cheesy or anything like that.
So you go from anal rape to the Justin Timberlake movie?
Yeah. JT and Mila Kunis, that's what's up. Yeah, it was really good. I was laughing the entire time. I now want to join a flash mob, so
A flash mob.
it changed my life.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's phenomenal.
So what are your top three in order?
Top 3 is Scream 4 being the third. The second is Girl with Dragon Tattoo. And then number 1 is Friends with Benefits.
So Friends of Benefits, you would highly recommend.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, that was Amanda Sink. If you want to hear more of her, that would be episode 11 of The Hollywood Outsider. Let's get back to the show.
Cool.
Okay. Number 4. What is your number 4 film, Brian?
Thor.
What?
I thought it was that. Yeah.
You like that hammer?
Thor.
He said it with authority.
Number
Oh, wow.
4.
Yeah,
Oh.
that just happened. So why Thor?
I'm actually blushing out of embarrassment right now.
You should be.
So, absolutely. It was just one of the more, I think, Thor is probably one of the more difficult Marvel comic heroes to kind of pull off a movie adaptation of. You've got the going back and forth between Asgard and Midgard or Earth, and you got a guy who's wearing chainmail and a cape and all this other stuff, and to tie it in with all the other backstory of the Avengers and everything, I thought they just did a really good job. It had lots of action, a little bit of humor, some cool special effects. I actually kind of just watched it recently on Blu-ray, and it was absolutely stunning. And kind of wish I had seen it in 3D, because a lot of you could tell there were some parts that were in 3D and stuff coming at you or moving over landscapes. That was
That hammer really comes at you.
yeah. So, kind of wish I would have seen it in 3D, but it still works really well in 2D. So, but anyway, Thor was my number 4.
Okay. Justin?
I mentioned it earlier. Got to mention it here again. Number 4, Red State. There is no fat. Make whatever jokes you want about Kevin Smith. But there is no fat on this movie. It is, I think, 80 minutes, maybe 85 minutes of pure adrenaline. No wasted scenes, no wasted moments. It's a completely different film than Kevin Smith has ever made. I know a lot of people hate it. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. Red State is so much fun and yet so terrifying in some of the things that it shows, and yet it's so truthful about a lot of the people who exist in this world that think they're serving some higher goodness and are filled with some of the worst evil imaginable. So Red State, got to give it number 4.
And really well done for such a low budget.
Very low budget. He did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Scott, number 4.
My number 4 is Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. For reasons mentioned above, Rooney Mara is just amazing to watch, and I really liked the story. The reason it didn't get any higher on my list is because it did drag in some areas, but I was still too blown away by the performances. And
did you say it's still dragging in some areas?
It's still dragging some areas.
Scott doesn't even get it. Dragon, dragon tattoo, dragon.
Yes,
like with a fire.
I know what a dragon is.
Okay.
I played Skyrim. Remember?
All right, go ahead.
He
He still doesn't get it, Justin.
Did you say Steel Dragon, like from Rockstar? What are you talking about?
You just said like it drags at some point.
For the love of Pete, this damn
okay.
podcast is dragging.
Wow.
I didn't hear what you said. I was concentrating on my next
said dragon
phrase.
at least 6 times.
No, you
mind.
just said dragon.
Because he said the movie was dragging in some points.
Gotcha. Okay. The movie
Finally.
dragged in the beginning and the end a little bit, but it was just an amazing film to watch. I can't recommend that movie enough.
Very good movie, absolutely.
I'm done.
Just drop the mic and go.
My number 4 is The Muppets. Yep, I picked The Muppets. I love The Muppets. I had so much fun watching. Like it's very nostalgic for me, of course, but just to be in a theater with a bunch of people having as much fun as I was watching a bunch of sock puppets make bad jokes and sing stupid ass songs was fun as hell. So
Maniacal
I love Manamana. I can't hear that fucking song anymore.
I know. It's like as soon as you do, it's in your head the rest of the damn
the
day.
whole day long. So that's my number 4.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider guest top 3.
And now we're here with Mike Card. Mike was a guest on episodes 2 and 4 of The Hollywood Outsider. Come back for a little a recall on his top 3 movies of 2011. How's it going, Mike?
It's going really, really good. 2011 was good. I moved. I got sort of a career going now, and had a good New Year's Eve. So it's starting off really good.
That's sweet. And you are in the television industry. I mean, you can't go into specifics, but you're actually working in television?
Yeah, I don't want to just because, I don't know. I don't want to deal with any of the consequences of that if they ever arise. But I work for a very prominent, large company that I you've heard of, but I don't want to say who. And I'm working on probably 4 different shows. Generally as a production assistant, but I've been a camera guy on one of them, which is what I want to do. So it's pretty cool. And I've been seeing commercials for one of the shows I work on the channel, and it's kind of weird to see that because I've never actually experienced that before. So,
well, at some point you'll have to come in and you'll be an interviewee. How's that?
We'll see about that. But
once you become rich and famous,
sure.
Well, what we're doing is basically going back to people that have been on the show before and seeing what their top 3 movies were, because you were a part of our show and we want to kind of see what you liked for the year. So, what are your top 3 movies of 2011?
Well, I should probably preface this by saying I didn't think this was a very good year. So, it wasn't that it was hard to find top 3 necessarily, but it was really disappointing that I couldn't find more. But, that's kind of just me personally, but I just kind of thought it was a weak
I agree
year.
with you. I think it was a pretty weak year.
A lot of movies that I was excited about ended up not being very good. And I think, a good example would be Sucker Punch. I remember seeing that trailer and going, well, this looks like everything I like. And then I saw that movie and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. So, it's stuff like that. But okay, so my number 3 is Troll Hunter, which technically is a 2010 movie, I guess, but it didn't come out here until 2011, which I checked. So,
nice.
I hope that works.
That one's actually on Netflix Instant. So, a lot of people can actually catch up with that.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. And it's a movie, it's another first-person camera, thing, but the way that movie kind of, first of all, its story is kind of unique, and the way that it does kind of the whole idea of realism with something kind of crazy is really fun, and I like that movie a lot. My number 2 is Source Code. As somebody who's a really big sci-fi fan, I thought that was probably the most unique and well-told sci-fi movie of the year, with the exception of the last 10 minutes of that movie.
You didn't like the ending? I think that's kind of the catch for some people.
Well, I like what they did. It's not that I don't like the plot. It's just that, so you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've seen it, but don't spoil it.
No, but you know how it's not really a spoiler to say that you can tell where that movie was supposed to end and where they ended up ending it. And I was so happy with where I thought it was supposed to end. I was like, yes, they're doing this right. And then it kept going, and I got really irritated with that. But everything else about that movie is phenomenal. Yeah,
it's a great movie, actually. It's a good little, sleeper hit, I guess I would say. A lot of people didn't expect it to do well, and it came out and did pretty decent.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and was like, and I'm a big Twilight Zone guy, and that just the whole thing to me is a Twilight Zone concept, so I was on board from the beginning.
Completely.
My number 1 is a movie that I would say, I guess this is the highest expectations I had for a movie, and it ended up delivering for me at least, is Red State, the Kevin Smith
Really?
film. Yeah, I really like that movie a lot.
That's kind of surprising that would be your number 1 pick. Did you think maybe so you thought it was a home run?
Well, for the record, I also saw him in Vegas a few months before he ended up premiering it and saw some footage early, and it probably got me a little more excited about it than a lot of people. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, actually, so that's another thing. But, I don't think that everything was good about it, but I feel like of the stuff that I've seen, that probably was the most, well-rounded story. For what he was trying to do with it, I can understand why some people wouldn't like it, just based on the nature of the kind of story it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the kind of movie that I like, and it's the kind of, storytelling I like, and some of the performances in that are just amazing.
And basically just how it's a religious cult. Religious cult that goes downhill. I mean, that's really what the basic plot is. But the movie starts off and you think it's going to be one thing, and it actually ends up being something completely different.
Yeah, and when I saw him, he talked about how he intentionally wanted to as far as the editing goes, he would make cuts in weird places and break the action line all the time, and he did that intentionally because the whole point of the movie was to kind of take, the horror genre and other genres and kind of just play with them. And I think he did that in a really great way, as well as telling a really good story. So I think kind of from the technical aspect of filmmaking and the aspect of storytelling, he was just exactly what I wanted. And I just definitely haven't looked back at anything else during the year and thought that, I've enjoyed a movie as much as that one.
Excellent. So that's Troll Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Troll Hunter, Source Code, and Red State. 2 of those are on Netflix Instant.
With honorable mentions going to Super 8, which I thought was great, but there were some issues with that for me. And then Rise of the Planet of the Apes was probably my biggest surprise, and probably could have been interchanged with my number 3, but I just decided I like Troll Hunter more.
I definitely want to see Troll Hunter, so that's one I'll be checking out probably before the show. All right, well, that's Mike, and I want to wish you well on your future endeavors, and you'll be back on the show here soon, hopefully.
That'd be cool.
Depending on your work schedule. All right, let's get back to the Hollywood Outsider.
All right, thank you.
Number 3 for our top 5, I get that one. And my number 3 pick is Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. Because it was a badass flick, and Tom Cruise redeemed himself from all his wackiness. I'm okay with him being a crazy Scientologist now. He's back to being Tom Cruise. So some of the stunts in that flick were just phenomenal. I think that the way that they made a franchise, I think most people thought was pretty dead, revived again and actually made it feel like it's a whole new franchise. I mean, it just did a bang-up job. They kept the romantic element out of it, which I really hate in these kind of movies. I mean, just make a spy flick. I don't need to see you fall in love with somebody and have your hair blown in the wind like in Mission Impossible 2. You just went straight for the action. Brad Bird did a great job. I thought Jeremy Renner was very restrained and did a great performance there. And the whole team aspect was brought back to the focus. So, great flick, number 3.
I think Paula Patton's breasts deserve their own category and the win.
We'll come up with best breasts next year.
Oh, shit, yes. Okay, good.
Go ahead, Scott.
Mine was also Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I went into this movie expecting to like it, but not to like it as much as I did. It was not only a fun spy flick, but I thought it was more interestingly written than most movies of this. Like I didn't like the story in 2 or 3 was pretty good, but they did a really good job with some different twists and turns, and they didn't fall into a lot of the tropes that this kind of movie does. And like you said, just the scenes were awesome, the gadgets were cool, just a lot of fun to watch.
All right, Justin.
Fast 5. I've talked about it nonstop throughout this show. I don't need to say much more here. Fast 5, Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel rocking the house. It is nonstop fun.
Pun intended.
Yes.
Dragon.
Brian?
My third one is Contagion.
Really?
Yeah.
You liked it that much, huh?
I really did. I mean, it was a good ensemble cast. You know, they kind of fueled this sort of like a realistic horror type of movie. Mm-hmm. You know, about the flu epidemics. It just covered so many aspects and angles of, these types of occurrences. You know, what would you do for your family aspect. You got the kind of opportunistic reporter, blogger, conspiracy theorist thing going on, and you got the whole government cover up and containment type of thing. So it's I just thought it was a really good movie, and anything that makes you leave the theater and wonder what if kind of scores a little bit of bonus points with me. So Contagion's my third one.
I heard a lot of people walked out of the theater and went straight to the bathroom to wash their hands.
I did.
Did you? Well, you're like a freaking germaphobe.
Yeah, I'm a germaphobe anyway, but
like Howie Mandel in the making.
I'm not quite that bad. But
Cell cells go through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. But when people cough in the theater and everybody starts laughing, I mean, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, towards the end of the movie, somebody sneezed, and all you hear about 10 or 12 people chuckling. You know, you just couldn't help but laugh at that.
That was pretty funny.
In that film, a sneeze might be like screaming fire.
That's right. Everybody just started running.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider Guest Top 3.
Now we are here with Amber Hammer, who was on episode 17 of The Hollywood Outsider. She's here to share her top 3 movies of 2011. Take it away, Amber.
Happy New Year, everyone. This is Amber Hammer giving you a quick rundown of my top 3 movies for 2011. My number 3 choice is X-Men First Class. I know this movie got mixed reviews, but I really enjoyed it. The idea of retroactively sharing the beginning of a story is so often lost with this genre of films, and I just found it refreshing. This movie gave the X-Men franchise a much-needed boost and also gives us a fresh look at some new faces in the industry. My number 2 choice is Fast 5. I honestly have not had this much fun with a movie in a very long time. I went into it expecting more of the cliche storyline and less than stellar car chases we have grown accustomed to with the Fast 5 or the Fast and the Furious franchise, I should say. And I was pleasantly surprised. This movie delivers in all areas, gives you the action and car scenes you crave, and pairs it with a captivating story and just perfectly placed humor. I highly recommend it. And my number 1 pick for 2011 is Real Steel. This movie blew me away. Who would have guessed a movie about Rock'em Sock'em robots would have been so damn good? It just did everything right, in my opinion. Hugh Jackman is perfect in this. He makes you hate him in record time and then somehow manages to redeem himself by the end. Dakota Goyo delivers some of the best child acting I've seen in quite some time. He's an absolute show stealer. Ultimately, it's a very universal movie. It'll make you smile, make you angry, and may even make you tear up a bit. It's an absolute must-see.
And that was Amber Hammer. Now, like I said before, if you want to hear more of Amber, she was on episode 17 of The Hollywood Outsider. Let's get back to the show. Okay, now we're up to our number 2 flick. So number 2, Justin, what is your number 2 flick for 2011?
I have yet to mention this movie in this whole list. I apologize for that, but Super 8 gets my number 2 spot. I almost picked Ella Fanning as my favorite performance from a female. She did such a magnificent job in her role in that movie, where she's the one lone, feminine character amidst all these boys. But the movie had a lot of heart. Of course, it's got Steven Spielberg all over it. J.J. Abrams loves Spielberg. You can see it. You can feel it. I love Spielberg's early movies as well, and so I was more than happy to have that influence and homage made. I love the film, and I loved watching it again on Blu-ray. I think it's not going to get talked about as much as it deserves, so let me talk about it here. Super 8, number 2.
Okay.
Good choice.
My number 2 is Bridesmaids. As Justin talked about earlier, Kristen Wiig, phenomenal as Annie Walker. She wrote and didn't direct it, but she wrote the film and starred in it as the main character, and was just fucking hilarious. And I know a lot of people call it an ensemble comedy. I don't really think it is. I think it's really Kristen Wiig's movie. I mean, Melissa McCarthy steals the show, but it's really Wiig's movie, and she does a great job. And I don't mean that just in terms of the comedy, because I'm really hard to please when it comes to a comedy. Very rarely will you find a comedy in my top 5 of anything, just because I'm real particular about my sense of humor. It has to be quick, and it has to be clever, and it has to be very witty. I don't like fart jokes. I don't like pee jokes. I don't like bathroom humor. It's just not funny to me.
Which is funny, because that's really,
I was going to say,
your forte as far as humor goes.
No, it's not. I don't like bathroom humor. It's
coming out of me like lava.
Oh, this is happening.
This is happening.
I'm shitting in the streets.
It's like this is this year's Hangover. I mean, there might have been a Hangover too, but this is this year's Hangover. It was the funny movie of the summer, and I really hate the one thing I really hate when I've been looking at some of the critics' choices, which always crack me up, because every fucking one of them is like The Artist and shit like that. But a couple of them had Bridesmaids on there, and they keep calling it a female, like a chick comedy or something like that. And I wouldn't call it that at all. I think it's just a fucking comedy. I don't care if it's about women or if it's about men. It just happens to
have a bunch of women in
it.
It
just happens to have a bunch of women in it. And I really hate that, because it's like women can't be funny. There's a lot of funny women out there. It's just, unfortunately, they don't let them do it well, apparently, or don't let the people that are behind the scenes actually take control. And I thought it was funny. You could put dudes in it and it would have been just as funny. I didn't make it any funnier. I just thought you had the right people doing the right job.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, but the premise of the movie is one that The Hangover kind of covered somewhat similar ground for men, with a guy getting married and his buddies throwing a party. So I suppose in that light, sure, if you put a bunch of guys in it, you're going to get a funny film. But I loved that it is a film filled with women. And I understand why you hate it, that it's called out because it's got women. But unfortunately, Hollywood has a bad habit of not giving women their due, especially in comedy. So I don't mind certain, people wanting to hold out that, hey, look, this movie was successful, and oh, look, it had a bunch of funny women. We can do this again. So hopefully we'll get to see that.
Just don't say, oh, look, it's a rare occurrence. Women can be funny. Just find the right women that are funny.
Right. But you picked this just because you like Wilson Phillips. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. Hold on for one more day.
Hold on for one more day.
My favorite thing about this movie is watching my wife and her sister watch this movie, because I've literally never seen her laugh as hard as she does on the 8th time she's watched this movie.
Yeah, this movie's still funny.
Like, it's just hysterical to watch her.
So, Brian, what's your number 2 of the year?
Well, actually, before I get into that, if you want to see Kristen Wiig at some of her funniest genius comedy stuff, there's a couple of skits on SNL that she does. Mm-hmm. Go to YouTube and search Lawrence Welk, and she does they do a skit with him. It's him and then her and some of these like singing sisters routines, and she is absolutely hilarious. Laugh out loud, hilarious.
Did you see the one she did with Justin Timberlake?
Oh my god!
Where she's dressed as the tea bag, and he's dressed as that bottle of beer. Oh shit, that is funny.
Bring it on down to
Lickerville.
Jesus. All right, Brian. What's your
look that one up too. So anyway, back to the list. My number 2 is Fast 5. All the same reasons that have been gone over about a dozen times already, but just hands down the most fun movie of the year. Just 2 hours of nonstop action, cool cars, hot chicks, and The Rock. Fast 5 just kicked all kinds of ass this year. So
nice.
That's my number 2.
Scotty Clark?
X-Men First Class.
You really love that movie.
I really did. I maybe because I went in with lower expectations. I thought it was just going to be a cheap knockoff. I didn't think it was going to be great. The performances were great. The casting was really good. And I just had so much fun with it. The scene with him yanking a submarine out of the water was just so freaking cool to watch. The scene at the end where the bad guy gets what's coming to him was just really cool, and I just love this movie. I don't buy too many movies nowadays, and I bought this one on Blu-ray just because I never get tired of watching it.
The only miscasting they did was January Jones playing. Emma
she
Frost.
was
playing who?
She's gorgeous, but she is a terrible actress.
Playing who?
Frost.
Megan. She played Emma Frost.
Emma Frost, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was kind of a miscast.
But Hugh Jackman's cameo was hysterical.
Yes.
The what? Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you saw it, it was kind of like, oh, they are going to bring it. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Fuck off.
It was just one line.
One line. Okay.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider guest top 3.
And now we're here with Brad Peterson, who was a guest host on episode 20 of The Hollywood Outsider, to give his 2011 top 3. Take it away, Brad.
Hey hoes, this is Brad Peterson with a quick look at my top 3 movies for 2011. Number 3 is Warrior. Now, a lot of people probably just look at this as being a movie about MMA, but it's actually a drama about the strained relationship between two brothers and their father. And while it does follow the template of other great sports movies, there are some good performances that really shine. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few nods come Oscar season. Number 2 for me is Japanese cult director Takashi Miike's 13 Assassins. This is a samurai epic about a group of assassins who are on a mission to take out a sadistic lord and his army. The story may seem familiar to fans of these type of movies, but Miike adds his trademark weirdness, and there's a battle scene that is not only my favorite action sequence of the year, but one of my favorites of the last few years. And number 1 for me would be Drive. Advertised as an action thriller, this is actually a slow burn neo-noir that is right up my alley. Great atmosphere, cool soundtrack, and another winner from one of my favorite up-and-coming directors.
And that was Brad's top 3. Once again, you want to hear more of Brad? He was on episode 20 of The Hollywood Outsider. And what a sexy baritone voice that boy has. All right, let's get back to the show. That brings us to our number 1 movie of 2011. Brian, what was your favorite film of 2011?
All right, I've raved about this movie for about the past few weeks, month or so.
Drive.
It's not his worst.
Coming, did you?
It was his worst and his favorite.
There's a surprise ending. No,
is M. Night Shyamalan?
Kaiser Soze? What?
I've been telling you all along, bitches.
All right, what's your number 1?
Hugo.
Oh.
Absolutely superb story, wonderful acting, interesting, quirky secondary characters. Best use, like I said earlier, the best use of 3D ever. It's just the most complete movie out of everything I've seen this past year. You know, it's good story, it's good effects, it's got a good mix of everything. You know, a lot of movies are just maybe a lot of action, but maybe kind of lack on substance, maybe, the story or something. This has got it all. Absolutely. If you can still find it in 3D, if it's even still out, go see it right now.
Okay. Justin, your favorite movie of 2011?
The movie that completely blew me out of my seat this year had to be Transformers: Dark of the Moon. I know a lot of people hate it. Again, fuck them. I don't give a shit. Transformers is one of those films that I go to see shit blow up, to see bullets get shot, and in this film you get nothing but it feels like 2.5 hours of just stuff exploding on screen.
Because
buildings coming down, robots getting ripped apart. It's balls out fun. And when my aunt was visiting, we popped it in the Blu-ray to watch it again, and just you're exhausted by the end of it. But for me, exhausted in a good way.
Fair enough. Scott Clark, your favorite movie of 2011?
Mine's an odd one for my favorite movie.
Okay.
But,
Crying Game.
That's not 2011.
Like I mentioned at the beginning of this list, I pick my movies purely on how much fun I had sitting in the theater watching this movie, and I had no more fun.
Wait a minute. So that you picked Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because you had a good time watching that?
That was my artsy flip pick, if you'll say. But,
all right. What was your favorite movie?
The Muppets.
Hey, phenomenon.
I seriously, I don't remember walking out of the theater with as big of a smile on my face as I did walking out of the Muppets. Whether it be just the nostalgia, whether it be the corny, funny jokes, whether you talk about seeing Jason Segel's passion and finally be able to do what he's dreamt about doing since he was a kid. It was just so much fun movie. The songs were the perfect length. They weren't too much to make it a musical. The performances were great. The cameos were hilarious. Just so much fun. I just really loved the Muppets.
That was a great time.
It was.
And it was one of those movies where I don't know how many more times you can watch it on DVD and have the same experience.
Yeah.
Blu-ray, sorry, Justin, and have the same experience. But that was one theater experience I'll remember for a long time.
Seriously.
Yeah. It was just a hell of a lot of fun.
I saw it on opening weekend, too.
Yeah. I saw it with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenon. Okay, and my favorite movie of 2011.
Hold on, Brian.
Any guesses, Brian? Any guesses?
I'm leaving. Fuck off.
My favorite movie, that's right. It's about driving. It's Fast Five. Fast Five.
Oh, thank God.
I had more fun with Fast Five than I had with any flick this year. From start to finish. It was a midnight show. I was exhausted and I was still wired when I left. I wanted to get out, hop in a car, and fucking race somebody. And anybody that knows me knows how fucking ridiculous that is. Because I drive like barely under the speed limit. So
don't you hate getting into a car after a movie like that and realizing I can't drive that fast?
Damn Prius won't go that fast.
I get in my car and I just hope that I have heat, let alone go very fast. It was just it's so fun. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. I don't really care. It was fun. From start to finish. And yes, The Rock made that movie so much better than the past sequels were. And it seems like they were hitting all cylinders. They made a new franchise. I mean, they made a new kind of movie. It wasn't like the rest of the movies. So it's a good flick. Loved it. So just a quick recap. You're 5-4, or 5-1. 5-4 would kind of be a silly list. But
two favorite movies.
Scott, real quick, your 5 favorite movies of 2011.
Paranormal Activity 3, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, X-Men First Class, and The Muppets.
Okay. Brian?
My number 5 was the Harry Potter finale. 4 is Thor. 3 is Contagion. 2 is Fast 5. And number 1 is Hugo.
What was your number 3 or 4 again?
My 4 is Thor.
Justin?
Number 5, Real Steel. Number 4, Red State. Number 3, Fast 5. Number 2, Super 8. And number 1, Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon. Mine are number 5, Scream 4. Number 4, The Muppets. Number 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Number 2, Bridesmaids. And number 1, Fast 5. Those were our top 5 films of 2011. There's a couple repeats in there, but a lot of variety too, I think. So hopefully you heard something that you hadn't even thought about or haven't seen yet, and maybe that'll give you the nudge to give it a try.
I love that Brian references it as the Harry Potter finale instead of Harry Potter: The Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Because he knows it's the fucking end.
It's just the last fucking Harry Potter movie.
He was trying to say the name without it taking 14 minutes to get out.
Vin Diesel needs to be sending you a check.
He does.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
Okay, and right now we're going to do every week on the show, if you've listened to it before, which I assume you would be, because why would you just start at the year-end wrap-up? But we do a flashback. Every week us or a guest or whoever's on does a flashback to a little or unknown film that maybe you haven't heard of or haven't seen or thought of, and kind of to give a film recommendation that you can leave and maybe go check the films out. Well, we've checked several of them out that we've heard from the guys on our show, our guests and whatnot, and kind of narrowed it down to our favorite 3 flicks from those flashbacks, just to let you know, well, all right, we've checked these out based on our other podcasters' recommendations, and we really like these flicks. So we're kind of just going to run down real quick what they are, our favorite 3 and what episode they're in, and then we're going to move on to our most anticipated film of next year. So with that, Justin, what were your favorite 3 flashbacks?
Strangely enough, they're all kind of horror films. I don't know how that happened, but Scotty, you gave me the number 3, number 2. In episode 9, you referenced Event Horizon, and in number 2, Sunshine. Both of them just remarkably good, and also science fiction horror. You don't see it all that often, and I love it when they're paired together. But Aaron, you gave me the number 1, Slither. A friend of mine recently sent me a bunch of DVDs, one of them being Slither. It is such a fun movie, and unfortunately, nobody seems to ever want to talk about it.
Absolutely. Brian?
My number 3 is The Way of the Gun, recommended by Scott way back in week 21, or episode 21. My number 2 was The Gift. That you talked about, Aaron, back in week 5. And my number 1 was actually discussed by Justin in the same week, week 5, Captain Blood.
So it's the same week, but he did better? Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Props to you,
Hey, man,
bitch.
hey, you brought Errol Flynn.
That's
I'm
true.
a huge Errol Flynn fan, and I love that movie. So,
okay.
Thanks, Brian.
I got you back.
I got you back. My number 3 was from Justin in episode 7, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Very fun movie. I had not seen the whole thing. I went back and revisited it. I had only seen a little bit of it, and it was really good, but I never finished it. So thanks to Justin's recommendation, I picked it up, tried it, loved it. Right at Your Door was Brian's recommendation, episode 3. Great flick. And also from Brian in episode 2, which we barely had sound at that point, was a flick called Unknown, and that's a really good movie. So, Scott.
Mine was my first one was from Aaron on episode 15, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That movie is just funnier than hell.
Yeah, it is.
That's classic.
Fuck, I recommended it.
I also put on there I Spit on Your Grave on episode 11. That movie just disturbed the crap out of me. It takes a lot for that. So, and then the other one was from episode 9, Brian's pick of 28 Days Later, which is just a great zombie movie amidst zombie movies that are just kind of running the ground. This is a fresh take on it, and I really liked it.
I could have easily slid that in my list too. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I love what's his name? Cillian Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's an awesome actor.
He is a great actor.
Did you see what was the Red Eye? Did you see that with him?
Yeah, that was good.
Creepy
Good
as hell
Wes
in that
Craven
movie.
flick too. Okay, well those are
I don't know. That movie was.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was pretty daggum predictable, but
dadgum. Right. It was dadgum predictable. That's right. I just made fun of you. Boom.
Ass.
Hey, he's defending me. I'll take what I can get.
That's true. You should.
But regardless, all of that, I think we can, one thing we can take from all these choices is that I think we would all agree here is that I recommend some damn good movies.
That's true. Brian has some good choices. Well, we all do.
I had 3 picks in there too.
Yeah, we all have some good choices. So, just
I didn't choose any year, so whatever.
Well, they made up for your slack.
Be sure when you listen to our podcast, always listen to that part, because there's been quite a few good movies recommended in the flashback section, whether it be by us or our guests. So always check that out. There's usually a good find in there.
It's time for a Hollywood Outsider Guest Top 3.
Okay, our next guest top 3 has not actually been on the show. He's been invited a couple times, but apparently he doesn't want to watch as many movies as we would like him to. But what he does do is he's a very big behind-the-scenes guy. Rob Rowald is kind of our IT guy. He helped design the website and did the logo, actually, that beautiful logo that you see on every MP3 that you listen to. I don't know if you watch it. That would be awkward. But we wanted to invite him on the show and give him a chance, since he is the Oz, I guess you could say, to the website and to the podcast itself, and has been with me since Hollywood Outsider itself started many, many years ago when it was its own website. So, Rob Rowald, what are your top 3 films of 2011?
Hey everybody, this is Rob Rowald with my top 3 movie picks for 2011. Ready? Here we go. Coming in at number 3, Horrible Bosses. Sure, it's cliche, but it had some really great sequences in it. I picked this not because it was a great movie or because it was overly funny, but simply because of Colin Farrell. He made this movie for me. He had the part of a paranoid cokehead douchebag down pat, which begs the question, was he really acting? Coming in at number 2 was Insidious. This was a great low-budget flick. It had an excellent atmosphere, was well thought out, utilized a well-worn plot that played out nicely, and had a wonderful creepiness factor that brought the whole thing together as a cohesive entity. Coming in at number 1 for me was Super 8. This was my number 1 movie because of nostalgia alone. It brought me back to a simpler time in movies. It had a feel that reminded me of other coming-of-age films like Explorers, Monster Squad, and Stand By Me. The premise was simple, the actors did an awesome job portraying their characters, and the special effects were top-notch. Like it or lump it, those are my top 3 movies for 2011. Thanks.
And that was Rob Rowell with his top 3 films of 2011. And once again, Rob is the behind-the-scenes guy who hopefully will come on the show at some point, but he does a great benefit to us by helping with anything he can, and he got the website going when nobody else would do a damn thing to help me. So thanks again, Rob. Let's get back to the show.
Oh, I want to see it, I want to see it, I want to see it. That's my most anticipated movie of 2012.
So we're going to the pretty much the finale of the show, which is our 2012 most anticipated film of the year. Not films, boys. It's our most anticipated film of the year. What movie we are looking forward to the absolute most. Have to see it. Can't wait till it gets released.
I got this one covered.
Brian, why don't you go first?
Yes. All right.
You okay?
The Avengers. I just got to get it out. The Avengers. You know, there's been 5 or 6 movies that's led up to this.
Yeah, quite a few.
I am just squealing with anticipation to find out how this movie's going to look, how it's going to turn out, what's going to happen. Are they going to set up, there's already numerous projects set up for sequels like Thor 2, more Iron Man, Captain America. What are they going to do to kind of maybe spur those on? Are they going to set up Avengers 2? Because this thing is going to make $1 gazillion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know about a gazillion, but it'll make a lot.
A lot.
A lot. And
so,
that does look awesome. The one, and it's going to bring Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, who else? Black Widow, Hulk,
Iron Man,
Hawkeye,
all those in the same movie. I mean, and Joss Whedon's directing it.
Yep.
I'll give you that one. Justin, it's your most anticipated movie of 2012.
Fucking Brian.
Yeah.
Goddamn asshole. All right, fuck it. He covered the Avengers.
No, you can't do that shit now.
Go ahead.
Obviously, that's the most anticipated film of 2012, but since he covered it, I will not be trumped. So fuck that bullshit.
Okay. I can guess your backup.
Instead say The Hunger Games.
Oh, I did not guess your backup. I am wrong.
Scott and I were talking about this before the show got started. The Hunger Games, I read the whole trilogy during my cruise, thoroughly enjoyed it. And now when I look at the trailer, not only does the trailer make sense now, because I have a context for everything, it also really gets my appetite wet for seeing what they're going to do with the whole thing, because it's a fun book. I can't wait to see if the movie does it justice.
With you on that.
Booyah.
I totally thought it was going to be The Hobbit. Scott Clark, what's your most anticipated flick of 2012?
My most anticipated flick of 2012 is Prometheus.
Oh, thank God you said that good.
I am. What's that?
He said,
I want to
thank God
make sure
you said
that
it.
movie got referenced too.
Oh, that is one that we talked about this on another show, but that trailer was a trailer that's done right, that reveals just enough without spoiling anything. And I've said this before too, that I love the original Alien movie. I never get tired of watching that. And to do a movie that takes place right before all the events of that movie just really sounds exciting to me. And the trailer looks awesome. If you haven't seen that trailer, go check it out.
How did you pronounce it?
Prometheus.
Okay.
No, you didn't. You
Not
didn't
the first
add
time.
the
You said
E in there.
Prometheus.
Oh, did I?
He said Prometheus.
What was that? Is that the ghetto version?
That's right.
Prometheus.
What's that word?
Welcome to Earth.
The Earth.
Oh, man. And my 2012 most anticipated film of the year is Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino's new flick.
Oh.
Dying to see that. I actually had to go and check the entire release schedule to make sure it was supposed to come out next year because it's Tarantino. You never know. But supposedly it'll make out in December. So that's my most anticipated film of the year. Dying to see it. And nobody knows really much about it, but it's Tarantino, and he's right now my favorite working director. So
There's a lack of Batman in our Most anticipated. I'm just saying.
I think that trailer kind of stunted a lot of people.
Me too.
I'm not going. Everybody I know that I've talked to that saw the trailer thought it left them underwhelmed.
After The Dark Knight, though, damn, how do you top that?
Seriously.
The Dark Knight and then Inception.
Yeah,
you take those two movies back to back. You cannot do better than those two films. I feel really bad for Nolan to try and do that.
I feel bad for him to try and top the Joker because it's such a. It's kind of like Brandon Lee in The Crow because he passed away, after that film or during that film actually, and the fact that people tried to get back in there and do sequels, you just can't do it because there's too much stigma with that film franchise now, and I think it's the same thing's going to happen with The Dark Knight. I think it's not going to make $500 million like the last one did.
Oh, and you know what we also didn't mention?
What?
Superman. That'll be coming out next year too, and we didn't even mention that one at all. I'm kind of surprised I let that one slip.
Well, I tell you what. Speaking of, next week on our From the Outside In topic, we're going to be talking about the upcoming 2012, the big releases. So we'll have Superman in there too, but or not Superman 2, it'd be just Superman
as well.
Superman also.
Superman 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. But we'll be talking about that in next week's episode. So that is it. That is our 2011 year-end wrap-up episode. What do you guys think? Did you have fun?
That was a lot of fun.
Fucking rock, man.
Hell yeah. If we...
Hey.
You got to have that theme song pumped up a little the next time so we can hear it a little better.
I'll do my best. Because no one man should have all that power.
Any final thoughts on 2011 before we wrap the podcast up as well?
It's a fucking rocking year.
It was a pretty good year.
It was all right.
Next year's looking pretty good too.
I think I had a harder time coming up with great movies this year than in years past. I thought we had a lot of really good ones, not many great ones. So I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff coming out next year. So
if you're an action fan, this year was a good year.
It was a good year for that.
Especially if you're the first half of the summer was phenomenal.
Yeah, if you're looking for the Aronofskys of the world, then this year was probably dragging ass. A little bit. But for action fans, it was a pretty bang up year.
Yeah, there was some, and I will say I thought there was a lot of good additions. There are a lot of good sequels this year.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of them. This is broke the record for the most sequels in a year.
Yeah, and honestly, good ones. There's a lot of good ones. Fast 5, X-Men First Class. Tons. I like Scream 4 a lot. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of sequels that came out that were actually pretty good, which normally, fair to middling. So,
I bet Super 9 is going to be great.
Super 9.
Super 9. Get on that, JJ. Get on that, JJ.
Mega 9.
Okay. Well, that is our podcast. That is our year-end wrap-up. I want to make sure to thank all the podcasters. I'll thank myself later. But Brian Williams, who's available at Twitter at BrianWMS. You can see them there every day.
Because he's got nothing else going on.
Because he's got nothing else going on. He's trying to build a following. Justin McCumber, also of the Dead Robot Society podcast. Scott Clark of the Official Thread podcast. That's a gaming podcast.
Woot.
Justin's is a writing podcast. So I want to give special thanks to all the guests who volunteered their time to make this edition happen. I appreciate everybody that made that work because that was quite an undertaking to get that all done, and I think it came out pretty well. So hopefully in the editing process I did not screw anything up. By the time you're listening to this, you will have known whether I did or I didn't.
Oh yes, and you will hear about it next week.
Yes.
You're on notice.
And also try to forgive some of the cheesy production values. I was going for a little extra oomph in this episode. We'll see if I pulled it off. Justin, I'm sure, will be the first to tell me.
Expect an email later tomorrow.
What the fuck were you thinking? Most episodes you can stay through the end song, and for outtakes, not decided if I'm going to have them this week or not because I got a lot of editing to do. But you'll find out by the time you listen to it. You can always find us on the web at thehollywoodoutsider.com. That's thehollywoodoutsider.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Email us any questions, concerns. You want us to do stump the whole question? Send it to us. We'll read it on the air. And that's at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader, listen on your Stitcher radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do. or just any plain old RSS feed. We're also on Twitter at H_outsider. And please remember, the next time you head into a movie theater, which might not be for a while because there's not much coming out for some time.
Bring a toilet seat cover.
Bring a toilet seat cover. And then buy popcorn. Have a good night, everybody.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
That must be Scott.
No, that's me. It's not a beer, it's Diet Coke.
Oh, okay.
Prostate checked.
I got
reach around.
I got that done today too because I had
Did
to
you
go.
really?
I had my yearly physical today.
Dude, I've never had that done. How old are you supposed to be when you start getting that?
Well, they say 40, but I've been doing it since I was 30 because I like the finger.
Dude, what's that like? Does it feel weird like the rest
Well,
of the day?
I just make a joke. Like today, I'm like, can we go gloveless? Just take a chance.
Take your ring off, bitch.
Like, why are you wearing diamonds?
Put the ring on with a little rib for my pleasure.
Do you need all 4 fingers?
Seriously, does it feel weird? Like, do you walk around?
Does it feel weird? It's a finger up my ass.
No, I mean like the rest
It's
of
a
the day.
strange man with a finger up your ass.
Yeah.
Are you going to insert them post or while we're on the air?
No. I'll do it post. I'll do it in the editing process. I'll figure out where the best spot to put them in. Probably in between segments or something.
Oh, it'll be a reason to listen to it then.
There you go. Wow.
Boom.
Okay, and the order is on each awards. So I tried to be funny with the name of them. Hang on, Scott has to get rid of a
he
furble.
tried.
Oh, it's funny. Fuck you. Wait till you hear what I add to it.
Ah, fuck.
First thing I told Scott, Justin's gonna hate this episode.
I wish he could be there when he hears it.
For me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. You said my love is blind, I just gotta clear my mind, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. You said I brought the pain, I just did it